The Carolina Panthers emerge victorious out of Las Vegas. Let's talk about it. Folks, I am at a loss of words with the performance that we saw on Sunday with this Carolina Panthers team. From the opening drive, I just sat there and I said, is this the same team that we have seen in the past 2 weeks? As a matter of fact, is this the same team, at least part of it, that was here last year? I cannot believe the performance that was put on, and it was across the board. Andy Dalton single-handedly brought in a new energy that we have not seen. We haven't seen it with Bryce Young, and I think a lot of folks, as we watch Andy Dalton slice and dice and get the ball all around to a ton of playmakers, we expected this. We thought, hey, this is what Bryce Young is going to do. This is how he's going to revolutionize this Carolina Panthers team this year with all these new weapons and a rebuilt offensive line. We thought, yes, this is our guy. First 2 games of the year did not happen. Andy Dalton goes out in one game. He's the first quarterback this season in the NFL, as reported by CBS, to throw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdown passes. This dude has not played a game in a year. And I talked a lot about it in the pregame episode, as well as I jumped on the Keep Pounding Sports Network podcast, I think Friday night. And I said, I honestly don't know what to expect. And I've talked about how this could be a terrible decision for Dave Canales, that, hey, making this decision to bench Bryce Young is going to either make him look like a genius or set the team back. I can just tell you, after watching this on Sunday, there's going to be a lot of questions surrounding this team. And now the Panthers hold the cards. It's all in their court. They've got all the chips. As we speak about Las Vegas, it's their call. Like, whatever they want to do, they can do this. Like, they don't have to follow along with what national media says, where folks are trying to get Bryce Young out of here. There's no reason. They've got him under contract for the 4 years, and they could pick up the 5th-year option. They can retain him. And if they, know that he is happy or can be happy, they can keep him here and try to develop. But there's a big question in my mind after watching Andy Dalton almost come off the couch. Because let's be honest, he's been here as a backup, and I know he's a competitor, but he came here knowing that they were going to draft a quarterback. He sat through this thing last year. And in my mind, I've played sports. When you are that backup position player, sure, you can talk mentally about how I'm always going to be prepared. I'm always going to be ready. But at the same time, for him too, is this contract year for him, and he knows this is like what he's going to do, and he's getting up in age. I could see him easily checked out, like not being prepared. I'm not saying he wouldn't be, and that's like not who he is, but I'm saying that could have happened. To see what he did with this offense, and something that Dave Canales has been trying to get out of Bryce Young, it honestly, I was like, who is this team? And then you flip that, we're talking a lot about the offense, on the defensive side of the ball. Defense making plays, still struggling to get pressure, but they got pressure in key moments. They weren't on the field a lot. I think we won time of possession of almost 12 minutes, a whole quarter. When you have sustaining drives on offense, that can make up for some of these things. We saw great plays by the defensive backs. Overall, this game was not as close as the final score showed. Panthers were up like 33-7 in the 4th quarter, and then there was a garbage time touchdown and got a little bit closer. It was nowhere near as close as the final score showed. Panthers dominated this thing from the start, and the playmaking ability was there. I mean, he got the ball in playmakers' hands, the rushing attack, my gosh, over 100 yards of rushing. I think Joe Person just tweeted, this is the first time we've had a 100-yard receiver, rusher, and pass thrower. I don't know what the yardage was on there, so forgive me. But since the days of Deontay Foreman, I think P.J. Walker, DJ Moore maybe, the Atlanta game where Eddie Pinheiro missed the field goal, in 2022. It's been that long. And I'm sorry, Raiders fans, if y'all are here and or Raiders fans that watched me before this and said, hey, this is going to be a cakewalk for us. Home opener, completely wrecked. And to be honest, I don't think there's a single Panthers fan that could honestly look you in the face right now and say what we saw today is what they expected to see. Because it wasn't. I thought, hey, we'll play competitively. But knowing what we saw with Bryce, I did kind of feel like maybe this thing really is just broken. And you hear the national media all week, and I'm going to take a second to say there's a ton of national media. You can go ahead and write in your apology letters directly into Dave Canales. You can tag the Panthers, whatever you need to do to get that message right to his front desk first thing in the morning, folks. Get it to him. Overnight it. Make sure that it is in his hands when he walks in that building, and it better be stacked up high. And Panthers fans may want to jump on there too. You can jump on there. I said, hey, this guy saw something. He made a decision himself along with the office. And like, how can you deny it after what you just saw with the performance that was put on by Andy Dalton? I think we're kind of seeing two things here. One, and Dave Canales really has a pretty good offense. Something that we didn't think was going to happen. Getting the ball around, which, like, my gosh, just the playmaking ability that was there from Johnson that we haven't seen. Adam Thielen, who we know got hurt. Even Mingo, Xavier, Miles Sanders coming alive a little bit, getting his touchdown. Like, all the feel-good moments. It looked like a football team, man. And it carried over to the defense. It carried over to special teams. It was a complete game. And Panthers fans have not seen that. We have not seen it. You talk about the wins last year. I don't even count those, really, because you think about the Houston game, we were already a bad team. What were we, 0-6 or 0-5, 1-6? I don't know. I know we, like, coming out of it, we were 1 and something. We were a bad team. It was meaningless football, sure, just to get into the win column. Maybe that felt good. And then the win against Atlanta. Like, we were terrible. We have not been in a position this early in the season and forever to where we are competitive and have a chance to be competitive. You look across at the Saints getting knocked off at home. You look at Tampa Bay losing at home as well. They're 2-1. We're 1-2. And I know Atlanta's playing right now as I record this, and they were up on Kansas City. We'll see the outcome of that game. You'll know it by the time that you listen to this, more than likely, or at least be close to over, depending on when I drop it. It's ours for the taking, man. And I'm not saying that the Panthers are going to go on the run, or a run, or make the playoffs or anything like that. There were mistakes made. Andy had some misses. He had some plays that it just bounced in our favor, man. The ball bounced in our favor for a change, which hasn't happened. And you put all those things together with the preparation, and you have a performance like we had today. I mean, had to shock the NFL. There's no way anyone really saw this coming. Like, looking at the Vegas lines, looking at everything. And there's now a big storyline with Bryce Young, as I, kind of talked about there. And it's a question, like, you see Andy Dalton do this, and I do think there's an advantage. We don't have a lot of tape on Andy in this offense, so you kind of have the upper hand there. I think Andy, like, overperformed. He'll probably come down to earth and get closer to 200 yards, and he may have some turnovers. But managing the ball the way that he did, he got the ball out so fast, man. We talked about Bryce Young and his 2.7. That was him. Go, find the read, throw it, they're open, get the ball out. Take shots downfield, or extend the play a little bit and talk about the offensive line blocking. My gosh, did he have time to throw the ball? Getting him the ability to do that, and then also looking at the play to Chuba Hubbard where it's just a veteran move. Like, screen game was working. It's ridiculous. It was a great win, and it feels good to finally talk about a win because we haven't had many. And as I record this, I've recorded 3 wins since I've been here and started this show. I'd like to record a lot more, and I'd like it to be natural and not something we have to celebrate. But we are going to celebrate this for today because that was good, man. And you kept Max Crosby in check. Gardner Minshew, who's been lighting it up, just like took him completely out of his game. Had some big throws and some big plays. Devontae Adams as well. Brock Bowers, who's been on fire, was leading the league with tight ends and receiving yards. You did your part. They did their part today. We got to take a break for a second for water. It was unreal, man. Completely unreal. I don't know, man. Where do you go from here, though? Here's the question as I was kind of started to talk about it and I got away from it with Bryce Young. And there's still going to be reports. It's a boxing match is the way I've described it right now from the media standpoint. Everyone wants to be right. Either you want to be right in saying that he's going to be traded and look and say, we told you he was going to be traded. So you have report after report after report. Teams have inquired. Up to 4 teams have inquired. We don't know what they've offered. My guess is it's not going to be a lot. And I also think the stock of Bryce Young is as high as it's going to get. Because either if you get later and later into this thing and you put him back out there at some point, I think teams will look back and say, oh my gosh, like really? I don't know. Maybe I'm having second-hand thoughts. I don't know if I want this. I think right now the Miami Dolphins, if we were to see a trade, would be the most realistic option if they wanted to get him on the field as soon as possible. And if Miami was desperate and like wanted to, entice us with a second or third, I don't think he's going to get that. But you never know when teams are desperate. And if Mike McDaniel sees him, he's like, oh, I could do this, or this with him. You never know. But that's going to be a big storyline now. And Dave Canales has done a great job managing the questions around Bryce Young. And I think a lot of folks have. He's making it bigger than the team. And that's what I said this move was for last week. It was about being bigger than the team. You did this because you knew the quarterback was holding you back. And you wanted to see, like, it's just like, let me have a gut reality check. Make sure I'm not as crazy as I think I am or people think I am. Let's put in a quarterback that's maybe somewhat competent, a veteran, see what he can do. And man, did he, Andy Dalton, light this thing up. I'm not talking enough about the defense, but the defense did its thing as well. I mean, talk about the fourth down stop, the stops along the way. We can't go through this whole thing without talking about the offense and the third down conversions. And the defense making some stops on third as well. This offense had converted 2 third downs the entire year, the first 2 games. Coming out of this, I think they were closer to 40% on the day. Not bad at all considering where we were. Because that's what you get in the manageable third downs, or you get first downs, bigger plays on first and second, or you're not even having to get to third down as you move along the drive. And it was great, man. Panthers football. Keep freaking pounding. But it's like as I keep kind of drifting away from Bryce Young, I think it's a very real topic right now. And again, the Panthers are in the driver's seat of this situation. But you have half of the media telling you that he's gone. The other half telling you that he's here. The team wants to invest in him. He understands that like this is the reason that all this is happening. Andy's been in conversation with him. And to be honest, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'll tell you from an optics standpoint, seeing Bryce Young kind of where he is, knowing who he is as a person and as a competitor, I could potentially, I don't know if he's going to go knock on Dave Canales and Dan Morgan's door tomorrow, but if this drags on and it's just clear that Andy Dalton's going to be the guy for the rest of this year and possibly come back next year, I think there's benefit for Bryce to sit. But if he still thinks that he can be a starting quarterback somewhere, he may just want to get out here and get a fresh start. I don't know how he's going to feel about learning and sitting. Like, he has just never really gone through something like this in his career. Like, he's had a fantastic career in high school, in college, and just haven't seen this and him having to go through this. And then we hear all week from the national media about, oh, they don't have weapons. They haven't built this. They're freaking eating crow right now, man. And I say eating crow to a certain extent. Like, sure, I know it could be a one-trick pony, a one-shot wonder, whatever it is with Andy Dalton. But either way, he still showed in one game what this offense can be, and we have not gotten a glimpse of that with Bryce Young. And here's my thing with Bryce Young when I think about him as the quarterback and if he's the franchise. And there's people that are down in the dumps about us having Andy out there winning games, potentially knocking off draft picks. Like, dude, we're here to win football games. We haven't won football games. And then there's a notion, well, if we have to trade Bryce, we're all the way back at square one. This is the NFL. Look at how many teams have had to have quarterbacks bounce around to find their groove. Look at Minnesota right now. Look at Tampa Bay. Look at the quarterbacks. Look at Jared Goff in Detroit. It takes time, and people kind of find their lane and may not be where they were drafted. Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr. Like, look at the way that quarterbacks move around and they get settled in and then they find a landing spot. Kirk Cousins, good gosh, Kirk Cousins has bounced around Washington, Minnesota, Atlanta. It's the nature of the game. And so I don't think we should be worried right now because Bryce Young is going to get traded. Like, if he gets traded away or he's not here, sure, it's always going to be a terrible trade. You're never going to be able to live it down, but you move on and the franchise moves. But like, as far as the franchise moving on, not literally moving, please don't move the Panthers out of Charlotte right now. Not a fan of that, and that's another theory that's being floated out there. But when you think about Bryce specifically, I sit here and just wonder how much is he going to take of this, and how much is Dave Canales going to take of it? I tweeted it out. I tweet out a bunch of stuff, but I tweeted out like eventually Canales is just going to not want to hear the questions, and he does a great job, like I said, of addressing them today. But there's going to come a point where he's like, okay, I'm just tired of walking into every presser and every single time you are asking me about our second string quarterback, which sounds weird to say, but Bryce Young. You're asking about the scout team quarterback today. And like, yeah, I don't really want to keep answering questions about him. I think now's the perfect time. Now, the issue with getting him out of here is if you get him out, Dave Canales has to have a QB2 lined up. I know you have Plummer on the practice squad, but you've got to get a quarterback in here that's either familiar with the system or you have to trust Plummer enough to put him, have him as your backup. There's no guarantee that Andy's going to make it through the season fully healthy or he doesn't get banged up at some point. We did see him take a shot today. So for me, you could also have Bryce just sitting back, riding the bench through whatever it is, and then really address this in the offseason. And that may be it. You may see Bryce, through the remainder. Canales and company may say, well, it doesn't make sense for us to move on right this moment. But then again, like, what are you really losing after what we have seen? Maybe sitting out is going to help him, but I don't know, man. I like to, a lot of things, of course, we talk through the speed of the game, the NFL game itself, and when we do comparisons, it's you think about the size and the athleticism of these players and Bryce Young, and can he keep up with his size? And I like to think of it sometimes like baseball, because I'm a baseball guy. I played baseball. And thinking about if somebody's got it or not. And I had it up to a certain extent, like 80 miles an hour I could hit, 85. You got up to like 90, above 90, I wasn't touching it. Like maybe I would get lucky every now and then and I would make contact, but consistently hitting a 95, 90 plus mile an hour fastball or hitting a breaking curveball 12-6 at 70 miles an hour, 86, whatever it is, I wasn't doing that. And so I think that's a big reason that I was never going to make it in pro baseball. And I think sometimes you wonder, is that the state that Bryce is in? Like, is he just not going to be an NFL quarterback? Unfortunately, we've seen him. Fantastic college player. Is he not going to make it in the NFL? And I don't know. But I'm sure there's going to be a team out there, no matter what happens, whether it's this point in time when he becomes available, if they trade him, any of that, a team is going to find him or see him and think that they can fix it, because we see it around the league as well with teams that bring over guys and like, oh yeah, I can fix this. I can do this. He just had it bad over there for this, this, and this. I can cater my offense to him and work him through this process. So, all right, I've done way too much rambling around everything. Let's talk about some of the stat lines. Like I said, not even close. It was 7-7 early. And then you're like, okay, are the Panthers going to respond? And sure enough, they did. 21-7 entering the half. Came out, got a field goal, 24-7, then 27-7. 33-7 went for the 2-point conversion and failed. That was in the fourth quarter. Then we have a score by the Raiders. Panthers get another field goal, and then another score by the Raiders. It was 36-22. Looking at your stat lines, big day for Chuba Hubbard, just what we want to see. 21 carries, 114 yards, 5.4 average. No touchdowns, unfortunately, but Miles Sanders got his touches, 7 for 17. One touchdown, did get the lone touchdown there. On the Raiders side, when we talk about shutting down the run, we knew the rushing attack wasn't good. White had 34 yards. Minshew had 14. Madison had 7. 55 total yards. Panthers came away with 131. Andy Dalton, 26 of 37, 319 yards, sacked twice, 3 touchdowns. 35 was his long, 123.6 passer rating. Minshew was 18 of 28, 214 yards, 2 sacks, 1 touchdown. 54 was his long. The 1 interception, probably could have had another one later that was dropped closer to the red zone, but that's all right. And then actually that might have been O'Connell that came in at that point, but O'Connell came in late, 9 of 12, 82 yards, 1 sack, 1 touchdown. I mean, we were in prevent. Like those fourth quarter scores, we were basically in a prevent most of that time. Receiving wise, it was a big day for Deontay Johnson. 8 receptions, 122 yards, 1 touchdown. Chuba Hubbard, 5 receptions, 55 yards and a touchdown. What a day for him. Adam Thielen, who we know didn't play in the second half, but 3 for 40 and 1 touchdown. And then Tommy Trimble. Big day for Tommy. 3 for 29. Mingo, 3 for 18. Xavier Legette, 2 for 42. He had the one really long one, 35 yards. That was nice to see him get involved. Sanders, Miles Sanders, that is, 2 for 13. Jatavian Sanders had the target. On their side, Tucker had 7 for 96. Pretty big day for him, which he had the long one of like 54 yards. Outside of that, we pretty much kept them in check with Myers with 62. Devontae Adams, 4 for 40. No touchdowns. Brock Bowers, 3 for 41. And again, I think a lot of this stuff came later. Mike Jackson had the lone interception for the Panthers. Johnny Hecker, pretty good day punting. 2 inside the 20. 44.3 average. Raheem Blackshear had 3 punt returns, 33 total yards. 16 was his longest. Xavier Legette, again, getting involved in the return game on kickoff, 1 for 30. And Blackshear had 1 for 25. Closing out the team stats, 24 first downs for the Panthers, 8 rushing, 15 passing, 1 through penalty. Third down, they were 5 for 12 for 41%, but on defensive side of the ball, we held them to 27%, 3 of 11. They were 1 for 3 on fourth down, so big stops there. Total net, 437 to 331 yards for the Raiders. Eddie Pinheiro too, man. Big day for Eddie P, and I don't know why the stats that I'm looking at don't have him on there. But he did good. Let's see. Kicking, he was 3 for 3. I don't know why this kicked off there. Field goal, 3 for 3. So, big day for Eddie Pinheiro. We needed the consistency, and that's what we got. Average starting field position, our 34. We actually had an advantage of 8 yards. Raiders started on their own 26. So good news there. Much better drive charts. Touchdown, punt, touchdown, punt, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, punt, field goal, and then the last possession. So 12, really 11 possessions. The last one, of course, the end of the game, you're taking a knee. Really good drives. Only one, 2 3 and outs. Big improvements, man. All those things add up, especially when we talk about time of possession. On the Raiders side, they had a punt, touchdown, turnover on downs, a punt, the missed field goal. I mean, that was big too, the missed field goal on their side. A punt, turnover on downs, a punt, and then touchdown, interception, touchdown. So, yeah, those late scores, I mean, were in garbage time. 36 minutes time of possession to 23 minutes. Big difference. On the defensive side, for the Panthers, 9 combined tackles for Mike Jackson. He had a big day. Shaq Thompson with 6. Nick Scott with 5. Josie Jewell with 5. How about LeBron Ray getting a sack? Peavy getting a sack. And Clowney, 3 sacks. I mean, you look at Peavy and LeBron Ray, who are having to step up in the absence of Derek Brown, Shide Tuttle, those guys being out. Being able to get pressure on the interior and get sacks, that's something this team has long needed. And Clowney with the one late in the game, it was nice, man. Big day for them. Let's see what else we got for you guys as we look through the drive charts. Let's talk about big plays here. 10 longest plays for the Panthers. So the Xavier Legette pass was the longest play, 35 yards. Nice. And then the pass to Deontay Johnson. I mean, it was awesome to see Deontay Johnson catch the ball and be able to just run. Like something we have not seen. They had 6 plays over 20 yards. Something that, again, this team has not seen, and spreading the ball all around. On the defensive side of the ball, we gave up 3 big plays over 20 yards. One was the 54-yarder to Tucker. I mean, that was just a great throw and catch. Can't let the guys beat you or get behind you like that. A 22-yarder and 21-yarder. So not bad at all. And can you believe this? The Panthers finally leading in the fourth quarter. Finally not leading as time expires. Leading as time expires, but not having to like kick a field goal to win. I mean, the Panthers cruised. Andy Dalton looked comfortable. There was a renewed energy with this team. Now, how far can this be carried? I don't know. Looking ahead, I know we've got the Bengals coming in. What should be a winnable game, because I don't know the status of Joe Burrow, and like I know he's kind of been up and down as of late. Bengals in particular, I don't know how they're going to be this year. Nolan's trying to tell me that this should be a win for the Panthers. Of course, he would love that from his perspective for us to knock them off. So I don't know. Should be some fun football. That's all I got to say. I mean, it feels much better if the Panthers get to 500. And I know I should know this, but folks, I do so much content that I can't really tell you off the top of my head the next group of games. Let's pull this up while we're here, because I think that's what's relevant for us to understand. Yeah, you have the Bengals, Chicago. So you have the Bengals, the Bears, rookie quarterback, the Falcons, the Commanders, rookie quarterback, the Broncos, either with a rookie quarterback or Zach Wilson at that point. So Saints and the Giants. Like we said, this first half of the schedule is very winnable. So the Panthers sitting at 1-2. If they were to lose to the Bengals, they'd be 1-3. Chance to win against the Bears. 2. Get you to 2 wins, right? 2-3. Falcons, let's just say the Falcons are good. 2-4. Commanders 3-4, Broncos 4-4. I mean, you'd be close to 500. Not close, you would be 500. And then with the Saints 4-5, if the Saints are as good, although they're kind of like slowing down a little bit. Giants, winnable game, although Giants kind of came to life today too. Getting to that 500 mark. If you get to 500 mark by the bye week and you take your time off, come over to the back half of the schedule with a chance just to compete and a chance to hopefully have Jonathan Brooks back, a chance to get DJ Wonham out there. Some of the things starting to come to life with Andy Dalton, and I'm excited for it. So fun times ahead, man. Hey, nothing like a winnable game. In a game where the Panthers win. So anyways, folks, that's going to do it for today's episode. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.